r/NoSleep. Posted by u/Castle Rock 80. I saw mommy in the bathtub. That is how my 7-year-old son, Gabe, decided to start the conversation during breakfast. Choking on my eggs, I managed to sputter out, "You saw who in the bathroom?" "Mommy," he giggled before looking back down at his plate. "Although she told me not to tell you about it." I was shocked. My mind raced and I thought back to a few months ago. Back in August, my wife died after drowning in the bathtub. She had seizures all throughout her life, with this one ending it. Did he see her there? He couldn't have, he was at school. I remember dropping him off. "So," I said, speaking above the lump that formed in my throat. "What else did she say to you?" "She said she loved me very much, and that she couldn't wait to see me soon." "Soon? I thought you said that you saw her?" "Well, I heard her talking to me. It came from the little spot where all the water goes away." "The spot where the water goes away, huh?" "Yeah." I checked the microwave clock, 7:35. I ushered Gabe out the door and towards the bus. I promised that we'd talk things through later once he got home from school. In the meantime, I did chores, checked LinkedIn, and finally settled down on the couch and scrolled Reddit. A few hours later I felt my eyes get heavy. As I drifted off to sleep, a dream materialized. The same dream I've had for the last 6 months. In it, I am walking up the stairs. It always starts there. No getting out of the car, no opening the front door, always the stairs. I call out for my wife, the echo traveling around the house and falling on deaf ears. As the dream always goes, I hear the water running and walk to our shared bathroom. The dream begins its climax as I push open the door as trapped steam billows out. And there she is. My love. My life. Her body blue as she rests in the bathtub. I reach for her as I always do, but this is where the dream changes. What usually unfolds is that I cradle her in my arms and weep. What happened today was different. I was reaching for her when she sat up and grabbed my arm. Her nails dug into the soft flesh of my forearm and she didn't let go. Her purple lips cracked open to reveal a wide smile. Her clouded eyes locked with mine. "He's mine now." I woke up drenched in sweat and breathing heavily. My phone was ringing. The call said that it was coming from my son's school. "Hi?" I mumbled, shaking myself from sleep. "Is something wrong?" "Hello mister, we've called you today to report that your son has had an accident at school and we need you to come pick him up." "Oh," the call ended. "Hello? Wow, okay, a little rude. Mental reminder to notice someone about that." I drove out to Gabe's school. It was a little brick building outside of the major city. A fence-lined cow pasture followed the road for most of the way. Gabe and the principal stood in front of the double doors leading into the school. After a brief conversation with the principal, I loaded Gabe into the back seat. "So, champ, I heard you had an accident at school. Could you tell me what happened?" He shuffled around in his car seat before answering. "Mommy found out that I told you." "Well, why is that a bad thing?" "She said she'd have to hurt you." The clock struck 8:30. I picked up Gabe and brought him over to bed. I tucked him in. I kissed him goodnight. "Good night, Gabe. Sweet dreams," I cooed. "Good night," he replied, already drifting off to sleep. I turned off the overhead light and flicked on his nightlight. It was one of those standard ones that had stars that spun around the room. After closing the door, I silently made my way to the bathroom. I hadn't checked it since Gabe told me about what he saw. In the light of the hallway lamp, I could make out a figure sitting in the bathtub behind the shower curtain. A figure with straight, long hair. What the fuck? I brought my hand and brushed it against the curtain. Shakily, I grabbed the curtain and flung it open. Nothing. There was nothing in the tub other than a few bath toys and a bottle of 2-in-1. I sighed in relief. Then, I heard it. A whisper, almost inaudible, yet clear enough to hear 2 words. "Come closer." Leaning into the tub, I inched towards the drain. The whispers got louder. I lifted the little cap and peeked inside. Inside were 2 eyes and a row of razor-sharp teeth. Its clouded eyes locked with mine and it began speaking. It spoke in the voice of my wife. It told me things, horrible things, for a very long time. It told me to hurt people, to hurt Gabe, to hurt myself. Even after leaving the bathroom, I could still hear it. I locked the bathroom door after leaving, but I'm not sure that'll hold it. In fact, I can hear shuffling in the bathroom right about now. That thing's not my wife, right? The next story of this video. Posted by u/the dangerous. I kissed a girl and the next day I couldn't find my mouth. I looked into my mirror image, not quite believing what I was seeing. My eyes reaffirmed it. My hands touched the area and couldn't find a fault. My mouth was gone. Where the lips had been was now only skin. It wasn't just that it was gone, but that I'd lost any feeling of lips, tongue, teeth, cheeks. I couldn't feel any of that part of my body. Not even when I pinched the skin where my motor had been did I feel anything. It was as if the skin wasn't a part of my body. I was absolutely horrified. Terribly so. So terrified in fact, that I screamed, but only with my eyes and hands. I paced around the room, contemplating every single possibility. It wasn't a dream, because my dreams weren't so vivid and strange. I searched up the phenomenon, but there was nothing on it. I even took a picture of myself to make sure I wasn't just hallucinating, which I wasn't, thankfully. I realized then that the only thing that was different in my life was the girl I'd met. I called her, and promptly realized that I couldn't speak. So I messaged her. "Have you taken my mouth?" I said, and I saw that she read it, and ignored me. This sent me into a complete outrage, and it affirmed to me that she'd indeed taken it. And once again, when I was out of the house, and when I had calmed down, was I filled with horror. And once again I screamed with my hands. This was absolutely terrifying. Sweat glistened off my forehead, and tears rolled down. This was a person that could steal mouths. But then my theory was broken and shattered like a glass of water dropped from 1,000 feet. I saw my mouth walking on the other side of the street, in a tuxedo, and beside two handsome posh men, who were dressed in fancy red dresses. They were engaged in a political conversation about the state of Ukraine, and when my mouth noticed me charging towards him, it said an excuse and promptly called for a taxi and rode away. The men screamed when they saw that I indeed had no mouth, and then found their manners when they realized that it could have been an accident. They shuffled off, clearly not interested in a conversation. I wanted to call for a taxi, but there was none. I found myself in complete rage when I realized that my mouth had gotten away. I did not know what to do, but then the girl from yesterday called for me. "Hey you. I saw your message and I want to say that it sounds absolutely horrible." I looked at her approvingly. "I'd love to help you find your mouth. Any idea on where it has gone?" I looked at her informatively. "Or we could ignore your mouth and go back to my place. I've always wondered how it would be to kiss somebody without a mouth." I looked at her seductively. We were off to her apartment. We walked up 3 stairs and engaged in a most wonderful conversation with our hands. She unlocked and opened the door, signaling me to walk in, which I did. But I heard somebody in the apartment, and she did too. "Hello?" she called out. "Hey," I heard coming from the kitchen, a voice very familiar to my ears. "I'm cooking spaghetti, want some?" I realized that it was my own voice. I was absolutely terrified. Somebody had stolen my voice, but when I saw my mouth dressed in chef's wear and carrying a plate with steaming red spaghetti, I realized that it had stolen my mouth and my voice. I was absolutely terrified. Horrified. But so was it. It was frozen, backing away slowly, like a rich man would when confronted by a thief. Then it ran into the kitchen and I ran behind it. It was trapped now in the kitchen, but when I turned the corner I found that it was nowhere to be found. She managed to calm me down. I couldn't really complain. But then I saw a sliver of my tongue running in the corner of my eye, and I chased after it. Before it had a chance to turn any corners, I plunged my mouth in between its lips, and caught my tongue. I threatened my mouth with my hands, and it succeeded. It spilled all the beans. "I'm gay," my mouth said, and I was absolutely horrified to have a gay mouth as I was straight.